Assalamu alaikum. I'm Yasin Pons, and this is the Muslims Connected podcast, a podcast for those looking for love and direction and light. Today we are joined by Sister Zeenat Parker, Auntie Zeenat Parker,
Zeenat Parker, it's fine.
founder of Warriors of Hope. I feel like I want to get into all of what Warriors of Hope is, but before we get there, how are you today, Ma?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain.
Alhamdulillah. And then just before we start, I need to mention the yellow spot that's on my shirt. It is not, I didn't miss body or anything here. It is just the lily that got messed up. I say this because I feel like all the aunties watching us going to judge me and then say I must put soda water or something to get it out. I don't know. Let's get back into, I'll say, the crux of why we are here. What is Warriors of Hope?
Allah, that's a
big
loaded one, a loaded question, alhamdulillah. So our journey started 10 years ago when I was asked to be a chaplain at Red Cross Children's Hospital.
A chaplain. Let's start because I heard the title and then I was like, a chaplain? What is a chaplain?
Yes. So when I went to see them, I also didn't know what a chaplain was. And then the Reverend called me in. We had an interview and I said to her, so what is it that you expect me to do? So she said to me, just offer spiritual support to the families. So I thought, okay, that's easy. I can do that. And then she said, but we have to call you something. So I said, no, just call me Zeenat. I'm happy. She says, no, protocol. We are called chaplains. So I said, but I don't think we use the word chaplain name. So she said to me, okay, I'll get back to you. So she actually did a research. And she called me very excited to say that all over the world, there are Muslim chaplains. So if it isn't here, then we will introduce it. So basically, it's just supporting, giving spiritual support to families within the hospital.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen, I'll say the sisters and the chaplains are through the hospital in the years I've been there. But I thought they were just people visiting or like that,
okay.
someone that knew of the sick.
Right.
So it's nice to know that that's an occupation, but
Yes.
also a necessary role for the family that's going through that. And so...
Yeah, so then Warriors of Hope was not there yet.
Mm.
And I went, and my first case, I was asked, the Reverend called me and she said to me, I must come. They're needing to put off the life support of this child. And I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't been trained to do this work. What am I going to do? And I phoned Sheikh Alexander. And I said, Sheikh, I need you to come with me. He said to me, look, it is Jummah. You go, I'll meet you there after Jummah. I said, fine. I went. The Reverend said to me, there was a non-Muslim child who was also dying. And then she said to me, look, observe, and then you see. Mm. And, I just said, Allah, take over, because I don't know. What did I let myself into?
It's such a deep-end, I'll say, experience.
100%. And then they did their thing, and the family was hysterical, understandable. Yes. And then after Jummah, then the doctor said to me, look, explain to the family that it doesn't happen immediately. We will remove all the pipes, machine, etc., and it will be a slow process. So it's not violent or, harsh. So Sheikh came and I said, Sheikh, you have to do this one for me. And then he read Surah Fatiha and then he told the family, look, the reality is life and death is in Allah's hands. And as much as the doctors are saying what they are saying, Allah is ultimately in charge. Long story short, 10 years later, the child is still alive.
Ew. Alhamdulillah and mashallah. Wow.
So I thought, no, this I can do.
You also witnessed a
miracle.
Oh, still witnessing a miracle.
Exactly. So I thought, no, this I can do. And then at that time I was alone because they felt that there were too few Muslim patients to warrant an extra Muslim assistant chaplain. So it was Easter, and I saw them coming in with bunnies and with everything else, and lots of activities here. And then Ramadan came, and I said to them, can I bring posters just to bring an awareness about Ramadan? So she said to me, look, let us have a meeting with the Red Cross board and see what they say. And they said, it's fine, you can do that. And I put up posters and just to create a bit of a Ramadan khiyas.
At this point, are you going to multiple hospitals?
No, only Red Cross. Okay. Only Red Cross. And then, so once a week, then I had to go every day and just take a walk through with the Reverend. And then when we get to the Muslim families, I needed to sort of hold their hand, talk to them, etc. And then I thought, no, man, I've got to give these people something. I thought of a tasbih. I said, okay, fine. Got a few tasbihs together that I'll take with me. Next visit, I think we need to take a Quran or something. So that is how all our resources became available. But at that time, still no name. So I then said, can we perhaps do, because I saw gifts coming in, give each child a Eid gift. So I went back to the Reverend. She said, let's pass it by the team. They said, look, it is an impossible mission because it takes us from one Christmas to another to actually get donations for gifts for every child in the hospital. And you cannot only give the Muslim children. So I said, I understand, but I'm promising you that we can pull this off. 2 weeks into Ramadan, eh? So they said to me, look, do it, but you're going to come back and say that you were unsuccessful. So I said, if I am unsuccessful, can I do one ward? So she said to me, that's fine, you can do one ward.
How many children is in
one ward? Probably about 10 or 12.
Okay.
So I went to Sheikh and I said, Sheikh, can I speak to your ladies at the Tuesday morning class? So he said to me, yes. There, the people gave and gave and gave, and I was humble. Now I'm sitting with money that isn't mine, no name, I don't have an organization. And then it was my mother-in-law's in Ramadan, so it was a yartal. So we went to have iftar there, and then all the nieces and nephews were sitting, and I said to them, look, this is what is happening. They said to me, do it, we're going to support you. I said, but we need a name, and I need to open a bank account. Yeah. They said to me, go on Monday and open your bank account, and all the nieces, nephews, my kids pulled and we looked at names.
So it was a family
family thing. And then as I'm sitting at the bank, they open up this account, they're telling me, but you need a name. And I'm messaging them, and we put a poll out, and eventually everybody agreed, Warriors of Hope.
Alhamdulillah.
And since then, we never looked back.
But also the power and the miracle of Ramadan.
Completely.
Ramadan comes through with other things. You must just ask and let yourself be.
Completely. So that wasn't all. So now I had boxes of toys and things coming in. I then, I belonged to a Sunday morning halakha. And then there I told the sisters, you know what? I'd love to do this. They said, we're behind you. And you know, the day before Eid, our home was like a warehouse. People brought in cupcakes, sweet packs. Those kids did not only, and 300 kids, eh?
Wow.
And they did not only get a gift, each of them, but they got a sweet parcel, and they got a cupcake, and they received the parents got meals.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. Again, also the thing of as Muslims, it's not just for Muslims. We're there for everybody that's in need of us.
Yes.
Must be there for them.
Yes. And they were blown away because they said to me, "No, how did you do this?" So I said, "The power of prayer." And so since then, we've had our highs, we've had our lows, and you meet families who have a high awareness, and even the children, about who Allah is and why they are there. But then you've got the families who are really struggling from a spiritual perspective. And that makes it very, very hard.
So that's another load, because you have to allow them to be also,
Yes.
but also give them space so that they provide them with some light also.
Yes.
For
So,
space.
and I think the big thing that this work taught me is to be non-judgmental. Because when I was then the Reverend left me, and she said to me, "Now you are on your own." So there was a cancer patient I had to go and see, and when I went into the cancer ward, I couldn't find this particular name. And I went back to the nurse's desk and I said to them, "I can't find this family. Can you please direct me?" They said, "No, there's the family." And this family was not our typical Muslim family. And I introduced myself, and then I said to the child, "Do you know?" Because I introduced myself and say that medically, the doctors can only do so much. So they have called me in to come and give you spiritual support. Do you know who created you? So now I realize that I've got to speak through the child, because obviously parents have their ego and they immediately, So I said to the child, "Do you know who created you?" And the father said, No, because she's so sick, we haven't spoken to her about Allah. So I said, "Okay, now I'm here to tell you that Allah created you and Allah loves you." And I said to her, "And I'm going to give you something." And I gave her a tasbih. And I said to her, "The only thing I want you to do is say Allah, Allah." And she said to me, "Okay, I can do that." When I went back a few days later, the father came and he had a salat top on, and he said to me, "I took out my surah and I'm going to learn. I'm going to tell the imam." I went to tell the imam at the masjid that he must teach me. So the nurse said to me, "What is this about you giving the tasbih to these children?" This child had to go into theatre. And as they're wheeling out of the ward, she says, wait. I forgot Allah on the bed. And then they thought, "But now, what are you saying?" And they took her back, and it was a tasbih. And she went into theatre, Allah, Allah, Allah. She didn't want them to take it away from her. Wow. And I mean,
that's also it's such I'll say a small but big part of da'wah that you're doing.
Completely.
To give someone a little bit of hope, and then them finding their own faith again.
Completely.
In all as well.
Completely. And alhamdulillah, another survivor.
Alhamdulillah.
She's a teenager today. And she will always message me. But then we've also got our very sad stories. And the one story, it was in COVID, where there was a boy who was on his last, also a cancer patient, and I went to see him. Now, you must remember, during COVID, you couldn't come into close proximity. Now, you've got to stand at a distance, and you speak to the mother, and you speak to the child. So I said to him, "I've got a picture that I want you to cut. Do you like to draw?" So he said to me, "Yes." So it was a trust bus. So I said to him, "This is a bus, and I want you to put all the people whom you trust on that bus." And then he said, "That is interesting." And then we colored in together, and I put names. He said, my mummy, my daddy, not my Buddha because he fights with me, and my auntie and my titi, they can all go on the bus. So I said, but don't you put Allah on your bus? So he said, yes, let me put Allah. So I said to him, who else? So he says, the doctor. So I said, and who else? So he said to me, can I put Sayyidina Umar on my bus? So I said, okay, but why? He says, because he was very strong and he had swords and maybe he can kill all my cancer cells. So I said, let's put him on this bus. And a few days, the day before he passed away, I went in there and he showed me, I must take that picture off the wall. And I said to him, what do you want to do with it? And he said to me, take everybody off my bus. I don't want my mummy there. It was only the two of us in the ward. He said to me, I don't want my mummy there, don't want my daddy. Take everybody off. But leave Allah, Sayyidina Umar, and the doctor. So I said, and you? No, I'm there. So I said, so where are you going? So he said to me, I can see a beautiful garden. And I'm going to go with this bus into that garden. So I said, so why is it that you want the doctor there? So he says, because I know my mummy and my aunties and my daddy, they're making a lot of dua for me. If Allah answers that dua, then the doctor will be there to put the drip in for me. And Sayyidina Umar can be there to kill all that cells. And the next day he passed away. But his mother says his passing was so beautiful because he literally looked at them and he greeted them and he was gone. And that just made me realize that children are more in touch with death than us as adults.
Yes.
It is something that I feel we need to talk more about. It is something that waits at each and every one of our doorsteps. But when you want to talk about it, then they say, don't go there. You know,
that all must happen when it must happen.
Yes.
It's also the same thing we have with Hajj also, when we go, that must happen. And it's just like, no, we must deal with our things like now.
Exactly.
As Muslims, that's what Allah teaches us, is that at any moment we must be ready for.
Exactly.
Marv, so how do you find the balancing in, especially with someone with, if the patient has like a terminal illness, how do you give them the hope of that it can be, you can recover, but also the definitiveness of we also going to, what's that balance? When do you learn that balance? So
you take each case as it comes, but the one thing that we are taught very early on is not to give false hope.
Yes.
Because if you give false hope, they can actually turn against the Allah that you are saying. Put your trust in Allah, because you are going to be cured. So we've got to be very careful when we do that. So usually, and you know what, a lot of the time, not a lot, all of the times, when I walk into hospital, I put that cloak of bravery and I say, Allah, you take over. And the things that I say are things that I wouldn't even have thought of saying. Because you just say, Allah, wherever I'm needed, take me there. And one such incident was about a week ago. I walked into hospital and I thought, now, which way do I go? And I thought, do I turn right or do I turn left? Eventually I said, no, I think I'm going to do wards today. Now I can walk to the wards, going left or straight. And then I said, nah, I'm feeling tired. I'm just going to go straight. And as I walked through this one space, there was a child sitting there and he had his face covered. And the nurse said to me, oh, you just came in at the right time. The social worker was there. And they trying to convince this child to go into theatre. And this child is sitting with a pillow and he's not looking at anybody. And I don't want to go into theater. And I don't want my mommy here. I don't want anybody here. Nobody can help me. Eventually, I showed the social worker can speak to him. So she said to me, oh, try your luck. I don't know. Anyway, then I sort of just went down and I said, you know what? I know who can help you. And he took the pillow and he pushed it away and he looked at me and he said to me, who? So I said to him, how old are you? And he said to me, his age, gave me his age. I said, you've got such a beautiful name. I said, okay, did you go to madrasa? So he said to me, no. So I said, why not? So he said, because I don't lust. So I said, it's fine, it's fine.
It's actually a very normal response.
Yes. So I said, it's fine. So he said to me, he said, who can help me? So I said to him, Allah. I said, and you know what? But now I whispered to him. I said to him, you know what? Allah sent me to you this morning because Allah said to me, I got a message to say that there is a boy whom Allah loves dearly and who needs help. Go and see where he is. But now I can't sit and talk like this. Can you come to the bed? So he tells me, okay, but I'm not going to get on the bed. I said, it's fine. So
in what age?
11.
Oh, okay. Oh, classic.
Yeah. So I said to him, okay, fine. And then I said to the nurse, we're going to the bed, but he's not getting onto the bed. The nurse says, it's fine. He's away from that corner. We sat down and, we had a bit of a discussion. I then gave him a tasbih. Also, call Allah. And then he said to me, so he says, but I'm rude to my mommy. So I said, it's fine. Your mommy will never love you less for being rude. So he said to me, so I said, then you say, astaghfirullah. He says, that's too long. I can't do that. So I said, okay, can you say Allah? So he said, yes. So I said, then you say, Allah, I'm sorry. Allah, I'm sorry. That's all you say. Okay? And here's a kitab. And I want you to promise when you go home, you are going to go back to madrasa. Will you promise that to me? So he said to me, yes. So he tells the nurse, I want this auntie to be here when I go into theater. So I said, phone me and I'll come back. And one of my colleagues were telling me it was so priceless. When I walked away, he took the pillow completely off his face and he was looking at the kitab, which shows that the fitra of our children, it's there, it's alive, it just needs reawakening.
The fact that he knew that he was rude to his mom was the first glimmer of hope.
Exactly.
Because he knows what's wrong, he knows what's right, and he is willing to change also.
Exactly.
Which is a lot I'll say for most adults again.
Exactly.
We'll write off and go, Allah's not for me. It's fine. I'm just going to go through this process.
But the sad reality about that case is that child is being discharged. That is where my connection with that child ends. And if he is not going to be nurtured, then he can stray. And I remember one of our teachers always telling me actually, Zeenat, I hope that you call these children by name when you make dua for them. And it is something that I've practiced, where you just ask Allah to protect them wherever they are. But this is where we need more people, our community, to come and be part of the chaplaincy program.
That's actually Maaf to cut your word.
Yeah.
How did you get into that space? Because you were a teacher before.
Yeah.
What brought you to teaching, and then what brought you to becoming into the chaplain space?
Yeah. I've been a teacher for 25 years.
MashaAllah.
And children, they've always been very close to my heart. And when...
What age?
The preschoolers.
Okay.
And when I left teaching, I actually left teaching because I didn't enjoy, I was born a teacher, but I left teaching because I saw the young parents who were now having children and telling us how to teach and how not to discipline their children. Just didn't sit well with me. And I said, you know what? This isn't for me. It's taking the joy out of the profession. This is where I hang up my towels and I'm going to do something else. But I always felt that I needed to do something. I was a patient of Red Cross Children's Hospital. And my mom, may Allah reward her, every Monday morning when my siblings used to go to school, she used to go to Red Cross with me. And I think that is why I've got that connection to the hospital. And then my mother said to me, now my parents, they were days when we were children already. We had to go to Falkenberg with them, go and read Quran for the patients there, go to Oldham, bake cupcakes. And on a Sunday, that is how my parents used to spend Sundays with us. So my mother said to me, they are looking for a chaplain. So I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm not going to go.
That's also a weighty calling.
Exactly.
To be ready. And you think, it's one of those things where you think, oh, I'm not ready.
Yes.
But when you shoved in the position.
Exactly. So, as all mothers, she said to me, you are just going to go for that meeting. And then if you decide then not to do it, it's fine. But go for the meeting. And I keep telling her, Mommy, every step that I take, it's a reward for you. Yeah. And then when she tells me I'm too busy, then I said, it's because of you.
But also, I think if you just visit Red Cross as an adult, just a walk through the ward, even just to speak to the children, it's a life changer and a mind changer, because you realize how much of your own life you're caught up in and how little these children have. Not only with sickness, just from the world that they come from.
Completely.
And you realize that as a community, I also feel we need to start giving back in terms of looking after those who don't have.
Completely.
And
yeah. And, I tell these parents that Allah loves you so much, that Allah has taken you away from the busyness of the world, brought you to the confines of this ward so that you can remember Him, so that you can focus on Him, because He is the only one that can help you, cure you, heal, whatever. And I've also seen times when parents make those raw, heartfelt du'as for their children. And I have needed to tell them, be careful the du'a that you make. Because Allah, there are angels around and your du'a is being answered. So when this child is critical, you have a parent who will say, under any circumstances, I will take care. I'll give up my life for this child. I say, be careful. Be careful. You must make dua and say, Allah, what is best for this child? If life is better for him, then give him good health and let him come out of this unscarred. But if it is not good for him, Ya Allah, I am satisfied. And there was one parent.
That's a big trust that I'll say parents must learn also to go. Sometimes it's always planned, and we must also allow it to be.
Just surrender to it. And there was one parent who, after 10 years, her child had now passed, but she struggled because that child was literally a vegetable. And she said to me, I often think about what you told me that day, but I was blinded. And I just felt that I will do everything to take care of this child. And Allah answered my dua. But it was a selfish dua, because at the end, we didn't like to see how this child was just vegetating.
because it's such an emotionally weighted experience. I feel like I'm saying weighted a lot, but that's what it feels like. How do you disconnect from it when you come home or when you leave the hospital? How do you separate so that you can still find joy in your own life and in the world when you know that there's so much sadness happening for other people's lives?
Yeah, so a practice that I do, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the people we've brought on board as well, is I leave here with wudu, and when I come back, I take wudu again. So I literally, that is my practice. So I just wash away all the negativity and all whatever it is that's in my mind. And then obviously Shane, my poor husband, is the springboard, because then I just talk to him.
Yeah.
Because you need to just get it out of your system so that you don't hold on to it. And it is sometimes very hard because you've got to show the empathy, but you've also got to have your boundaries in place. And yeah, I mean, there's been moments when I've cried with parents because you've also got to show your humanness.
Yes.
And so I was alone for about a year or more. And then I had to go to Durban. And when I landed, I had probably about 30 calls from the hospital. Where are you? We need you here. So I said, you see, that is why I need another person, because I cannot be here 24/7. There were times where we were on the mountain in December and they would phone and my poor husband would come down. We leave the family and we'd come to hospital. So I said, we need more people. And alhamdulillah, we've had 5, and then we were down to 2 because the other 3 took ill and they couldn't be part of the hospital anymore. But now we've got 5 again. And alhamdulillah, we are going to do a training with him because I felt that I needed. Since I started, I did join madrasa classes and I became part of, because I needed to be in that space and I had to upskill myself all the time, did a coaching course. And so it's been ongoing, but now we are busy putting a manual together to train people to be chaplains.
It makes a lot of sense, especially with, I'll say, within the Islamic context, because a lot of the times you're going to be faced, or people's going to have questions, and you must have answers.
Exactly.
And you must have ways of reaffirming them. And so you must know your Islam.
Have to
be able to teach you Islam. And even just to not only teach, just to give it and present it, you must be well versed as well.
Definitely. And we've had incidences where you've got the blended marriages. So, I mean, the child is busy dying and the families are fighting. Is it going to be a janazah? Is it going to be a funeral? Oh. And you are sort of in the middle of that. And we know that every child there is upon Islam. And so I always tell the parents, we'll deal with that when the time is there. Let's focus on the child. Go in there, make dua, and support each other.
Yes.
So you have that kind of incidences where, and you have incidences where there are parents who cannot afford to bury their child, and then they say, I've had this, where they say donate the body to the hospital because we don't have money to bury the child. And I tell the staff, not on my watch. It's not going to happen. If this child passes, call us and we will make sure that this child gets buried. So there's a lot of things that happens behind the scenes that's more than what they told me. Just go and pray and be there. And because you have a lot of teenagers, so you ask these teenagers, they are children themselves, sitting there with babies. You ask them, so What happened? We don't know.
Obviously, teenagers. That in my mind, I assume the teenagers were the ones in the hospital, but they're also the parents.
They are the
Yes,
parents. And so there is, and that is why, I would just go back to Allah. Ya Allah, you guide me. And my famous saying is, I follow the breadcrumbs. Because I just say, Allah, you facilitate. You know the need. And I'm not capable to do this by myself. It's a community effort. And this is only one hospital. What is not happening at all the other hospitals?
And you said my 5, like 5 is a lot. And while it is a lot coming from the one person, 5 is also still highly understaffed to take on a whole hospital.
Exactly.
And then it's you also dealing with stuff that's how can I say, where it's terminal illness and stuff. But there's also kids who are, I'll say, burn unit victims, who also need the support, who also need like a guidance to give the children hope that you can live on after the experience. So that's also such a daunting task to take.
No, it is. It is. We had a few years back, and these incidences always happens on a Friday. And it was a house that burned down, and the mother lost 3 of her children in the fire. And the 4th child was critical in ICU, and the 5th one was in the burns unit. Can you imagine having to go there, and they don't have a house? The house was burnt right to the ground. And at that moment, the Reverend actually said to me, Zeenat, do you mind if I'm alongside you to support this family?
Everybody needs to be
be there. And we took the mother down, and we spoke to her, and we sort of just, what can you say? I mean, 3 children, to lose 3 children.
And you're home.
And you're home.
And everything inside the home.
Exactly.
Also, not just the physical home that you're going to see.
Exactly.
The photos, the clothing.
All the memories. And this mother said to me that I literally, in a space of 15 minutes, saw my whole home and my 3 children burn. And so that family, that mother, up till today, I'm in touch with her. And mashallah, she's come through because we give her the support. But it is not easy. Now, if those families are left unaided, what happens to them years down the line?
Yeah.
So then we decided that we needed to start a support group, a bereavement support group, because I'm part of Pete's Spell as well. And at Pete's Spell, they work with palliative children. So those are children that's not necessarily end of life, but they terminal. Okay. So they call me to do an interfaith program once a year, where they call families they call it a Remembrance Day. Families who's lost children. Then we go and we just offer prayer and a talk. And when I went there, I saw a family. And I was so happy to see them. And I greeted her, and she said to me, I don't want to talk to you. And I said to her, it's fine, but why? She says, because I've left the fold of Islam. And I said to her, can I ask you why? She said to me, because there were no Muslims to support me when I was going through the loss of my child. And that weighed heavily on me. I said, Ya Allah, it is. And the fact that I know about it, and if I'm not going to do something about it, Allah is going to hold me accountable.
It falls on all of us that all of us were not there for that moment.
And because what does the churches and the ministries do? They take them in, give them food, they don't need to worry about where income is going to come from for at least 3 months because they are sorted. We don't have that. And then we started a support group. And I went and told them that we're going to do a support group. They said to me, I don't think you're going to get a lot of people, eh? I said, we might not get a lot, but let us do it. Because they call families across the board and they literally get about 30 max. So I said, let's do this. Huge intentions, let's do it. Our first get-together, we had 60 families.
Cool.
And it was there for the first time that we had fathers who spoke the truth. Because we opened up the floor. Now those are all families who's gone through loss. They share the same pain. It is not as though you are talking to a family member who hasn't lost a child, who doesn't have an idea of the emotions that you are going through. So they were vulnerable. And I had about 2 or 3 dads who spoke up and they cried. And they said that we were never allowed, up until now. This is the first time that I am able to talk about that loss, about how it made me feel.
We spoke about just before we had the interview of how, as a society, we don't allow men, and men don't allow themselves to cry, to be vulnerable, because also as a man, you're the caregiver, you're the funder, the breadwinner, you're there. Your whole life becomes just to look after this person. So when you lose that person, you're not given the softness of the space. So again, it's very important that we have those spaces where fathers can break down as much as they can. And again, sometimes as fathers, I think they need to be strong for the rest of the family. Because it's a couple mentality of like, okay, this happened, I must still go to work, I must still do this, I must look after everybody else. But there's no mourning period where dads can just be sad.
Yes. And I always tell families, when there's an onset of a diagnosis, the first thing I tell them is hold on to each other. Because this can be a marriage breaker.
Yeah.
And so many couples, they divorced because the husband has got his own pain, the wife has got her own pain. They shared that child, but they don't know how to communicate that with each other. And eventually, they just stop talking. And I've had a lot of families who have said, I'm not with my husband anymore, or I'm not with my wife anymore. So we made big intentions, and Warriors of Hope has been literally running from the dining room table of my home, alhamdulillah.
It's a great dining room table, and we sat by it earlier, and it felt like home, and I was like, okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Families are made here by this
Alhamdulillah.
table.
And this year, June, we got some premises. So we are in Felt Road at Medina Institute, and we've got a little home there. And we have got very big, bold intentions. So we are going to have a launch of our bereavement support group and our helpline, where we want parents to come and bare their souls. A space where people can just come, and sometimes you just need a listening ear.
Yeah. Or even to listen to someone else, and then you realize that your story is not alone.
Yeah.
So you go, the pain I feel, and sometimes you have guilt over the feeling.
Yes.
So you go, I mustn't feel this way. I shouldn't be angry that my child is passed.
Yeah.
Those feelings, and then you hear someone else say it, you go, okay.
Yes.
It's a shared experience.
Exactly. Now, at our second support group, parents were they made contact with each other, so they socialize.
Nice.
And they find that friend.
Yes.
And so the support group that we had, I then did an exercise. And then I said, and I call in psychologists and I call in social workers just to help support the space. And then I said, you know what we're going to do today? I want each of you, we're going to pair up, and each of you must think of something funny that your child used to do. You know, we had that space in fits of laughter. And when we got back to the circle, the one mother said to me, this shouldn't have happened. I said to her, what shouldn't have happened? She says, how can I be happy when I don't know what's happening to my child? She says she's never laughed since that maid left the house.
It's
deep.
It's very, very deep. That the guilt of happiness that comes with the passing of a loved one, when you allow yourself to start being happy, start being lighter even.
Exactly. And then I had children who came to me and they said to me, I'll be better off dead than alive. So I said to them, why? Because my mommy and my daddy, they talk more about my deceased sibling than us.
Another family loses love.
Yes, because they are sitting in that. So this is how we are trying to bring the whole family into a space of wholeness, and just for them to be able to
be a family
again.
And also that thing of celebrating the rest of the family also.
Completely.
And if not, have more reason to be a family, more reason to find happiness amongst each other.
You know, when I'm thinking of one parent that I sort of stayed in touch with after the loss of a few of her children, and then we went to Palestine. And then I said to her that we are going to Palestine. And then she said to me, when you go to the qabr of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, give him my salams and tell him I say thank you for looking after my children while I am still on earth. And I thought that was such a profound thing for her to say. Because she says, I make so much of dua for Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam because I know that my children are safe with him.
Wow, that's an amazing dua, because it's fully trusting in Allah, and I'll say that his prophets to do what they said they're gonna do.
That's right. And I've needed to talk to children about this. There was one girl, I said to her, you know what? Now, I don't talk about death. So I talk about Jannah. So I tell them, what's your favorite chocolate? What's your favorite sweets? And then they would tell me, oh, I like candy floss. And then I'd say to them, okay, now imagine, would you love a house that's made out of candy floss? Then they'd say, yes, we'd love that. And you can immediately see from that sadness, the excitement in the child. Oh, so I can have that. And what else can I have in Jannah? All about the nice things that they're going to enjoy. And you know what? You're not going to have a trip in, and you won't have this, and you won't have that. So much so that one 5-year-old said to me, and they all see Jannah. And this 5-year-old said to me, I can see my Oppa. He's standing in a garden, and he's calling me. So I said, so why don't you go to your Oppa? And she looked at her mother and she said, Mommy won't let me. So I said, Mommy, can we give her permission to go to Oppa? And the mother cried and I cried. And she says, but I'm not sad because Opa is happy where he is.
Yeah.
And this child just so easily and so readily just detached.
Okay.
And then when we were done with that exercise, and she was now going to have her chocolate bed and her ice cream, and then she said to me, and what is going to happen if I finish my ice cream? I said, and then there will just be angels who will give you more ice cream. And then she said to me, I said to her, now I'm going to go. Now you can spend a little bit of time with Mommy, okay? Is there anything I can give you? This child tells me, I'd love a sucker. And I said, okay, we're going to make sure we get you your sucker. I said to phone my colleague, I said to her, look here, you're on your way. Just bring a sucker for this girl. And the mother said she ate her sucker, wiped her mouth, and then she said to her mother, Mommy, I'm tired. And she closed her eyes. Oh?
Alhamdulillah. Yo. Mom, I'm going to cry also soon. A great story. What advice would you give to, I'll say to the listeners, but also to people who have because everybody has the inkling of, we know that we should go in. What advice can we give them to, I'll say, to come and try at least to come visit and to be present?
Look, at Red Cross, it is a little bit of a challenge because since COVID and now with the flu that is around again, they don't really allow people into the hospital. But the advice that I have is make that intention. Make the intention that you want to make a difference, because chaplaincy doesn't only need to be at Red Cross. You can go when you are going to visit people at Grooteskir, a family member. Take a walk through the wards, and if you see a lonely person, can I make dua for you? And this is something that I'm not at Grooteskir. And the Reverend said to me one day, Zeenat, I hope I didn't overstep. I said to her, why, what happened? She said to me, I went to hospital and I was busy praying for a man who was dying on the one side, and on the other side, there was a Muslim man. And you could see he was on his last. And he sort of gestured to me. And then I said to him, can I help you? And he said to me, I need someone to read for me. And the Reverend said, I read him his last rites. So these are real things that's happening. So when we go and visit family members at hospital, go and take a walk where you see nobody at the bedside and just, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Can I make a dua? Just a Fatiha.
Again, I'm not very, I'll say, learned in a lot of, lot of Islam. We're all still learning. But the thing of going, you don't need to know that, I'll say, all the du'as. You can just start with the Fatiha. You can just, even, again, all of those, every language, you can just speak as you'd like. So that people can understand.
Exactly. So my message is that our community must wake up.
Yes.
Because I think we're in a slumber. And the reality is that we are going to be asked about it. And come forward in whichever way dawah can be done in your area. At the masajids, if you hear that a child has passed, go and find out if the family is okay. And unfortunately, we have been taught to keep our emotions inside of us. We've been taught to be hush-hush about it, and we must have sabr. I once went and did a talk at Pittsburgh, and there were Muslim families sitting there. And when I was done, this person came to me, and she said to me, I'm so happy that I was able to hear you, and I'm so happy you didn't use the word sabr once. She says, because that is the only thing that we get told. Make sabr, but our emotions are real. Our feelings are real. And we know that we've got to have sabr, but who's willing to just lend an ear? I tell the people who joins us, a lot of the time, you don't need to say anything. People just want you to listen to them. So we are going to open up the spaces, and we are going to encourage people to contact us and just to say, you know what, I've got a day hospital in my area. Let us make once a week 2 loaves of bread, because it's through feeding that you can actually get to speak to people.
To be the ear for someone, but also just the shoulder, and a shoulder, but also just sometimes the presence.
Yeah.
Just to have someone there next to you, not saying anything.
Yes.
But we know what must happen, so we'll just sit here back to on your own.
Yes.
So that you're not alone. Because many times I think with emotions, if you're not speaking about it, you feel that you're the only one having it, the only one going through, and you feel isolated by your own emotions. So just being present in someone else's life can make a big difference.
You know, I about a week ago, the doctor said to me, there's a mother, I would love you to just go and speak to her. And, you know, I came in, a non-Muslim, and I came in and she had a child on her hand. And I held her hand, and she looked at me, and I said to her, I'm not a doctor, but I'm here just to come and hold your hand. She had twins, the one died. So she was holding this one. And she said to me, I had such high hopes and dreams for both of them. And I don't think this one will be able to survive without that one. And you just let them talk, empty out. And then I said to her, do you mind if I pray for your child? And she said to me, no, it's fine, pray. And then I said to her, can I pray in Arabic and English, or do you only want me to pray in English? She said to me, please pray in Arabic. And then I read the Fatiha, and so we've got cards that we give them. So we've got the English and the Kosa of the Fatiha. And I gave it to her, and I said to her, just know that you are not alone. And so you don't only go, because this is the discussion that we have when we have our meetings with the chaplains. And then we say that we are compassionate. We cannot walk past a needy non-Muslim family because we are not going to give them, give them comfort. There are also a lot of the times you must be very thick-skinned, because there are times when people will literally reject you and say to you, I don't need you to come in. It's fine. It's okay. May your child be healed.
You need to offer like softness for everybody, because they're also going through their own things, and many times, sometimes you must look for the love.
Yes.
Because you don't know what that person's going through. They might come at the bad time, a bad energy that comes from just in the room. You must just give them softness.
Yeah, and just say to them, you know what? There's our number. When you are ready, feel free to contact us. And there's been times when I have had literally the father standing at the door and saying, you're not going in there, because this child isn't Muslim. And those are the times when I am firm. And then I say to the father, I'm not here because I want to be here. I'm here because I was called.
Yeah.
So I need to do my job. You can decide what you're going to do afterwards. And you can see these are like the big gangsters, who doesn't want you to go anywhere near. And the mother will be sitting and she'll say to me, but I'm so scared of him because because he puts food on our table. I said, but you know what? Your child is Muslim. I said, this child is Muslim, and I'm going to read for this child, and I want you to read for this child. So those are all the different kinds of people that you encounter. But you know what? Allah makes it easy.
So how do people get hold of
Warriors of Hope? They can go onto our website, and these application forms that can be filled in. And, you know, yesterday we had a Soul Sister get-together at Medina Institute. They have a dhikr one Sunday a month, and then they asked me to be a guest speaker. And after the event, people came to me with such trauma. And I looked at them and I thought, you know, when I saw the crowd, the women, I looked at them and I would never have said that, I would never have known that there was such a lot of pain in that room. But we are taught to mask.
Yeah.
And we put on that mask and we go out there, and yet the anger and the resentment comes out in little things. Pettiness. You know, like the wife said that my husband just dropped a spoon and I blew my top. But it wasn't that spoon. It was all the pent-up emotions that I've had since the death of my child. And so we are going to them. It's just people must watch the space. We are very excited. It's something new. We need lots of du'as, and we need our corporates to come and be part of this, because we are going to offer this as a free service to the community. I mean, since yesterday when I left, my phone has been ringing non-stop. So, and this is only
a good sign.
Exactly. So we need people to come on board. We need, I've spoken to psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, coaches, counselors, for them to all come on board. But we also cannot expect them to do it for free.
Yeah.
So in order to sustain this, we would want to think it's a world-class space that we are creating here in Cape Town for our Muslim families. Not only Muslim, for families.
Yes.
Because we've got non-Muslims that's in our support group. And whenever I say we're having a get-together, they're the first to respond.
That's great. But also that thing of faith is faith.
Exactly.
And hope is hope. And
exactly.
If we can give it for each other, we must be it for each other as people. Shukran for joining us. We wish you all of the best for the future. We'll be in contact with you, and our listeners, go just join, go be a part of it. We must all give the small bit that you can give, go give it, and be a part of a community that looks after everybody as well. Shukran for joining us.
Only my pleasure.
Auntie Zeenat. I'm Yasin Bonds. Assalamu alaikum. And this is the Muslims Connected podcast. Shukran.